The play in our heads is more complex than what we want to accept. Most of us just want to go about our lives without really digging too deep into who we are and why we are who we are and how we operate the way we do and how we can break certain patterns. But if we do start to dig deep, and if life throws at you enough curveballs and enough obstacles and enough enemies, you will start to realize that there are parts of you that are acting according to their own principles, which is why we so often live in internal conflict. If life really challenges you, you might just break down. And a lot of us react to this very differently. Some of us repress, some of us project, and we blame others for what's happening to us. Some of us get angry, resentful. Some of us just indulge until we are numb enough to forget what took us, what brought us to that bottomless pit. But even in those dark times, as we try to escape and evade what's really happening to us, what's really out there, we know. And if you decide to make a change in your life, if you decide to break cycles and start anew, you are leaving parts of you behind. This is what we will call the exiled. These are parts of you who are no longer needed. Maybe you've repressed them. Maybe you one day tried to look in the mirror and couldn't, because that part of you that was destructive, painful, egoic, that part of you was right there, looking at you through your eyes. So you avoid the stare, you avoid the gaze, because you know you're done with that. You must be done with that. You must let go. You must destroy that part of you that's holding you back and hurting others. And so you start anew, you start fresh. And in theory, that's a great move. If you are hurting other people around you, you have to do something about it, or you'll end up living a short life with a lot of misery. If you want a long life full of joy, fulfillment, and accomplishments and happiness, then those parts of you must be excommunicated. They must go. The problem is, this exiled won't go anywhere. It will just become dormant, overpowered by other parts of you that will be more behavior oriented. So you'll act against the urges. If you're trying to quit something, quit an addiction, that could be a pattern of behavior or could be a chemical addiction, you need to act against that. You will want to indulge, you will want to go back to the repetitive patterns that you're familiar with. The only way to counter that is by literally counteract. So you act against the pattern. And by doing so enough times, you create a new pattern. But what happens to the initial pattern, the destructive one that caused all the pain? It doesn't just dissolve itself inside your being. It becomes a part of you that one day will require attention, and it will require care. So then you can truly let go of that element of you, that part of you, that voice in your head that caused all the trouble in the past. Then you might find yourself scared to take certain chances because you will be worried that you might trigger that part. If you're someone who's struggled with ego and egoic decisions, and you're stubborn and you maybe insist a bit too much on doing things a certain way to the point of diminishing returns, then as you transform yourself to be a more open-minded person, more empathetic, more engaged with others and the world, you might find yourself struggling to make certain decisions that would protect you, because you might be worried that you're triggering that old ego. You might then start to struggle to take care of yourself properly, because you might be worried as to what that motivation is. Where does it come from? So, if you're facing that fear to take a chance again, because of the fear to go back to old patterns, I want to say two things. One, it's good that you're scared. You should be. You should be careful. And that's a signal that your brain is sending you, that fear, that we're not comfortable in this new role yet. We don't know what our motivations are yet. Yes, we are acting differently. Yes, we are maybe even thinking differently most of the time. But then there are certain situations where you realize that maybe now I'm calling or summoning old demons. If I start to pursue indulgence, is that self-care or is that ego? Then you need to go back inside. You need to go back inside and find that exiled, that part of you that you couldn't look in the mirror. You need to tell that part of you that she's okay to go. She's done her job. She kept you safe. She did the best she could to help you navigate some uncharted waters. But you've both now realized that this is now out of her depth. And that's okay. As it goes with children, teenagers, adults, we all must evolve, we all must grow up. That's the story of life. Time doesn't stop for you. You better get in front of it. Transcend that humanity of yours. Focus on what you can do for others first, and you will be able to override their ego. You don't have to use ego to let go of others, for example. You don't have to use ego to let go of others who have hurt you in the past. You can use love and kindness. Appreciate that they did the best they could, even if it was the worst for you. Appreciate that even when people are being mean, they're hurting. They are hurting. And you don't need to use ego to take care of yourself either. You don't need to use ego to motivate yourself to be successful. You can use motivations based on serving others. So go inside. Speak to that exiled part of you, the one that disappointed you so badly that you completely disowned it. Go back there, go inside, go deep. It's gonna hurt. But you must do it if you want to really, fully embody these new parts of you that are pushing you towards the goals you want to achieve, the relationships that you want to have, the feelings and emotions that you want to experience. Without that conversation, you will always be in this struggle between who you want to be and the person you couldn't look in the mirror anymore. Safe travels.